What's up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Warpath. It's your boy Sanchez 405. If you're new, make sure you click that subscribe button and you hit the bell so you get notifications anytime there's new content posted. Y'all, it's no words. It's no words to get into what we're about to talk to here, but our team, our Washington Commanders, are in the NFC Championship game. We got Will with us as always. And, I got some mysterious voicemail after the win in Motown because somebody was Motown Blitz. But, bro, we dive right into it because time is of the essence. But talk to me about this win, first divisional win since 1991, and our boys are in the NFC Championship game.
Well, yeah, Corey. I mean, you got a voicemail with about 30 dudes screaming in the background as we were at my buddy's place watching that game, and I was joking with my girlfriend, like we made it to the NFC Championship, and she said, "We? What did you do?" And she said, "Just drink enough beers." And I said, "Well, the beers weren't going to drink themselves on Saturday night because Lord have mercy, what a football game!" And you said it at the top. It's disbelief, and I feel like myself and every other person that I've talked to is walking around all week just having to pinch themselves because I don't think with our highest aspirations of what we were going to see from this team this season, and even with how talented we knew that they were, was NFC Championship ever something that like it never even crossed my mind. It's still, I don't believe the reality that we are in where at 3 o'clock on Sunday we are going to be playing in an NFC Championship game, one win away, knock on wood, from the biggest game in football with a rookie quarterback, with a first-year organization. It just continues to be a testament to what Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, and of course Jaden Daniels leading the boys on the field have been able to accomplish this season.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's euphoric. The defense forcing 5 turnovers. They made Jared Goff look pedestrian. They took over the injuries that they had with the lines and everything in the offense. Jaden Daniels was rolling, but it was a total team effort, man. And we got to give credit to where credit is due to that, and that's the preparation of the coaches from Dan Quinn to Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Witt Jr. He basically said it. He's like, I'm good with giving up yards, but it's like taking the ball away. And Dan Quinn said it too. Ball is life, and they did it 5 times. Terry. Had a good game offensively, but you look at those turnovers. What was it, 2 fumbles, an interception, pick 6?
I mean,
too.
Mikey gets to the pick 6. Like it's the epitome of everything. What it felt like on both sides of the ball was it just made us right. And it was the epitome of everything that we have been talking about all season. Every shortcoming of this team, everything that we have identified that they need to do in order to be successful came together in what was undoubtedly the best 4 quarters of football that we have seen from the Burgundy and Gold this season. And that's not just from the guys on the field. As you mentioned, it was one of the best schematic games that I think that Dan Quinn's coaching staff has put together all season. You were looking at a defense that, while starting off slow, it's like the old adage goes, it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. And they grew into this game. Joe Witt Jr. was making the necessary and appropriate in-game adjustments to allow this coverage to be successful. And then it was the guys on the field like Mikey, that step up in the biggest moments. And we talked about the importance of turnovers. We talked about the importance of limiting the run. And then, of course, giving the football back to the offense and not going 3 and out, capitalizing on every single possession. They did struggle at the beginning to get into the end zone, but they were still getting 3. Your boy Zane Gonzalez was putting them through the uprights.
I nailed right on the head.
I mean, it was just a perfect execution of on-field play. Well, yeah, besides that one, but I mean, like it was just it was really remarkable, and it was so encouraging. And we say it every single week now, but it is exactly what Joe Witt told us at the beginning of the season, where he said, "Look, we need to sit down and we need to trust what this team is going to grow into." He meant the defense, but we've seen it on both sides of the ball with every single guy on this roster. I mean, it was a field day where everybody eats on offense. And Jaden, I mean, what can't you say about what he did on Saturday night?
Yeah. I mean, just clean, calm, cool, and collected. And I mean, that is what you're looking for out of your quarterback.
I mean, he was just it's the composure and it's the precision. I mean, every single
Mhm.
ball that he put into the air, there was a crispness to it that came through the TV. And I even think, I mean, that drop to Diami in the, I think it was the second drive of the game on that big shot, even though it wasn't caught, like it was those kind of throws where it was everything that Jaden could have done to make that ball catchable, even into double coverage, was done. And it came in with the right amount of power, the right amount of arc. Every receiver, I love the way that we got to Terry early in this game. Corey, how many times throughout this season did we say that we need to get Terry the football and get him going early? And time
Numerous.
again, we wouldn't see him get the ball until the second quarter. And we find the most success when we get those easy screen pass to Eckler. We're able to get Jaden 2 throws under his belt, hit Terry for a big shot over the middle of the field. And that's what gets this offense going. When it's able to punch the defense in the mouth, put the burner under Jared Goff and say, all right, my rookie quarterback can do this. What can you do better?
Exactly, and that's what happened. Was it became a duel between those two, and who could stay cleaner in that situation. It looked like Jared Goff hadn't even played in a Super Bowl before, which I mean he played putrid in that as well. But um, it's just a testament to his team how they grit it out. Nothing is pretty. Everything is earned from them. They have to take disrespect throughout the week, and then they use it. And they use it as a catalyst, and this is what we saw, and this is why this team is moving on to the conference championship game here on Sunday.
Look, and I mean, we expected a high scoring game, but I certainly didn't expect 45 points to be on that
No.
scoreboard. And we
Mm-mm.
talked about how we were seeing a matchup that had all of the drapings and the trappings of that first Ravens matchup for the Commanders that did fall short, that ended up being a little bit more of an in the trenches battle. I mean, 45-31 for a divisional round playoff game. Jaden Daniels was already familiar with big moments. He played in Baton Rouge. He's played against the biggest SEC talents, but there is something to an NFL playoff game that is just unlike what you see when you're in college. And it is undoubtedly a bigger stage. And he was unfazed by it. He rose to that occasion. And while it is easy to focus on the run game, and I mean, look, 22 for 31, 299, 2 touchdowns it's not a rookie stat line. It's what
Right.
everybody's saying all week. He already has it. He has that factor. He doesn't look like a rookie. Every Eagles coach, every Eagles player has said it. But let's take a moment to shout out Brian Robinson because we talked about it,
Yeah.
how like this run game was in shambles and it had been
Mhm.
in shambles. But this game isn't nearly as successful and Jaden Daniels isn't nearly as successful without Brian Robinson figuring it out against a good Lions defense and going 15 for 77.
Yep, and now Austin Eckler as well too. What he did on the field, I mean, everybody, even McNichols had a rushing touchdown. That was a strong run by him. That's one of them angry runs that they talk about on Good Morning Football. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean the ground game, and it's going to be pivotal this week as well because Brian Robinson's going into a place where he's done fairly well in Philadelphia, but it's going to be, can you get to that next level? What can you do for me? We've seen what you've done for us here lately, and you've struggled, but maybe he's on the back end. It seems like the key players are starting to get healthy at the right time. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson is healthy. The last time we played up in Philadelphia, people say it's an excuse, but Jaden Daniels was compromised at that point
He
in the
was.
season, and he was coming
And
back
it,
from that
it,
injury.
And on that note, we spent so much time trying to rationalize it and it didn't feel like outing, giving him an
Hmm.
out on it, but just saying, you know what, he looks a little bit banged up. What we have seen from him in the past 3 weeks is evidence to
Right.
the grit that he has for continuing to play with that injury, but also how much that injury was affecting him and how
Exactly.
high his ceiling is. It
Yeah.
felt like we almost weren't giving the injury its due. And we were like, man, like maybe he's just in his rookie slump. Maybe this is just kind of how the season is. No, it was the injury, and we are seeing the Jaden Daniels that Jaden Daniels can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit excellent on that one because yeah, it's just the guy that we saw at in the Pittsburgh game and the Philadelphia game. That's not the Jaden Daniels that we knew at the beginning of the season. It's not the Jaden Daniels that we knew at the end of the season now. And they've really put the ball in his hands more. I think at the beginning of the season they were like, you know what, we're going to put it in your hands. We'll let you do some things with it. But now they have really unleashed the playbook with him as the maestro for this offense, and it's paying dividends. I mean, 7-game winning streak for the Burgundy and Gold, 5 to end the regular season, of course, and looking pretty as we go into Philadelphia.
I mean, look, this might as well be the Philharmonic, the way he's got these boys singing. I mean, it's beautiful music. It's beautiful music. Drive in and drive out. I want to listen to him up there with that little baton, waving his hands, bring me the strings, bring me, the bass section. He's got them all working in perfect harmony. And it is, like you said, him growing into this offense and developing a sense of control. And he was always the leader, but now you could tell that he's the authoritative leader and, for lack of a better word, maestro, that he has this feel for the team. He ebbs and flows with it. He's not trying to force the run. He's not trying to force the ball into somebody's hands. Is he willing to make an aggressive play? Absolutely. And that's part of what makes him great, is his willingness to take a risk. But every risk that he takes, every shot that Cliffs calls, they were calculated. And it felt logical. It would come as a surprise to the defense. But to your point, it was like listening to a beautiful orchestra. It all just made sense, and it was flowing out of those two guys. And look, I mean, as the old adage goes, it's tough to beat a good team twice. And the Eagles they are a good team. Whether Jalen Hurts is going to be the Jalen Hurts that we saw in 2022, I don't think he is. I think that he still looked a little bit testy. I saw you getting in on the action on that practice video that we saw of him. I mean,
yeah, don't believe it.
How do you not see another man putting a banana in your tailpipe? Because he definitely looked a little bit limpy there. Yeah. And I don't think that, knock on wood, I don't think that we are going to see that 2022 Jalen, that MVP Jalen. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for the Eagles, though, they've got probably one of the biggest beasts in football right back there with him in Saquon Barkley. And I think that we talked about it on Take Command after Craig pointed this out. But I really do think when you look ahead to this NFC Championship game, it is going to be a matter of whether we see Saquon Barkley in matchup 1 against the Commanders, or whether we see Saquon Barkley in matchup 2, where he gets 16 yards in the second half and the defense is able to put the clamps on him.
Yeah, and I think there's an allusion to that first game too, right? Because if you take away those big plays that he had in the fourth quarter, Washington was doing their due diligence against Saquon Barkley. I really believe that. I thought the defense had played up until then. They had played probably the best game of the season.
Particularly the secondary, too. Yeah. The way that they were keeping I think it was A.J. Brown with one big chunk, like 18 in the first half. Sammers, but other than that, exactly. Mikey had probably one of his best games of the season.
Yeah. And that's what it's going to take, right? This game is going to be won and lost on defense. Yeah. I don't for Washington, because I don't see in a way that we give up 150 some yards to Saquon Barkley and we're winning this game. No, that's not going to happen. If we find a way, you need to watch the tape. I think these are. I went back and I kind of looked at their schedule. I didn't get a chance to watch the tape. You got to look at and see what Cleveland did. I was on with Bird Gang, a Philadelphia Eagles podcaster, and I just asked him straight up. I said, what about y'all's game against Cleveland? What happened? The first thing they did, they made excuses. They were, well, that was early in the season, blah blah blah, and Cleveland's run game was good. I said, yeah, I agree. Their run defense was probably pretty good. Austin Eckler had 67 yards against them. Saquon Barkley only had 47. So you got to explain to me what happened. How did it happen? They said, well, they didn't go to him as much. Okay, that's a fair point right there then. But I think you need to look at that game, see how they handled them, and look what you did with how you succeeded against them the second time around too, right? And what you did in that first, because there's a lot of good tape in that first game for the defense. It was just a matter, and I know the games aren't decided by one play, but really, if you look at it, going for that fourth down, which I don't disagree with Dan Quinn for going for it, but going for it on that fourth down took a lot of momentum out of the sail for the Burgundy and Gold.
Yeah. Well, and let's not forget the whole going for the touchdown situation as well in that first matchup, and how I feel like Dan might approach that situation differently now, being a little bit more comfortable with his team.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean that's going to be the key right there is how do you shut them down on defense? I mean, yeah. How's the defense going to shut them down? And it starts with Saquon, but they still got AJ Brown out there,
Oh
Dallas
yeah.
Goddard, who he's been on the injury report. He hadn't practiced. Um, I don't think he's had a full practice all week. I think he did go. Him and Cam Jurgens did practice today, but to what extent we don't know. So there's an opportunity to be had by this defense with the injuries, but it's like I said, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. That is tactical Philadelphia media doing that to say like, hey, look, Jalen Hurts is wincing, and he might be wincing, but I won't believe it until I see it at Sunday at 3:00 because I was born at night. I wasn't born last night. And I'm not going to fall for some cheap tricks that like cross-eyed Seth Joyner is going to say and all this stuff. But we'll see on Sunday. But your thoughts on this defense going in this matchup?
Well, I'll say on your note of Saquon, and Mina Kimes brought up a great stat in her show. I think it was yesterday, and Logan Paulson kind of built on this on Take Command on Thursday. And you say one play doesn't make or break a game, but when you're dealing with a threat like Saquon Barkley, it almost does. Corey, 20% of the NFL's explosive running plays have come from Saquon Barkley. That was a stat from Mina Kimes on her show.
Yeah.
Around 20% of the total NFL explosive run plays have come from Saquon Barkley. And I think that anybody that's watched this Eagles team and watched Saquon this year is part of what makes him so remarkable is that in a way, he's found so much success being that lightning in a bottle running back that I could trust him to a guy like Brian Robinson where B-Rob is that kind of down in, down out running back. You're going to put him through the trenches, and he's going to go little by little, like kind of build you up. He's going to average 3-4 yards a rush, and that's going to be what it is. Saquon, on the other hand, he has this ability to go negative yardage, maybe a yard or two, and then next thing you know, he bites your head off for 70, and he's in the end zone in the blink of an eye. And those numbers end up evening out to be about the same, but they tell two very different stories. And that's one of the things that is going to be the biggest challenge in containing him is that unlike against other run games where you really are kind of wearing someone down and you've got that Bijan Robinson style running back where eventually you're going to build up that wall and fortify it and you're kind of going to be able to put the brakes on them. The Saquon Barkley situation is not that, where you have to be on your P's and Q's, crossing T's and dotting I's for 4 quarters, because as we saw in the first game, it doesn't matter what he's done at any snap up to the snap he's about to take, because at any given point, he'll bite your head off and you'll be looking at his backside as he's crossing the white line.
Yeah, talk to the Rams about that, right? And, here's a fun stat for Saquon, right? In 11 games against the Burgundy and Gold, he has – where am I at? He has had 8 touchdowns, right, coming into this game.
Well, we're looking at how many of those are like 30-yard plus.
Yeah, and then he's had over 1,000 yards against the team this year, and he's had almost 300 yards on the ground against us this year, coming in at about 294. About 296. That's where he's at right now. 296 and 4 touchdowns to boot against Washington. Now, he's rushed it a lot against us. 25 the first game, 29 the second time around.
Well, and that's the thing is that despite him, like they're going to keep giving him the ball because they know eventually he'll hit. He's the slot machine that's a guaranteed win. You just keep hitting that button, and eventually he's going to break through.
12 total touchdowns against the Burgundy and Gold in his career. And I was there. I said, when I went on the Eagles podcast, they were explaining to me what Saquon is doing and everything. I said, I've seen Saquon play in person twice now. Yeah. I saw him play the last home game as the Redskins, and he had over, what was it? I got the number right here. You want to throw up and vomit in your mouth a little bit. He had 189 yards on the ground off 22 carries, 1 touchdown, and then he had 90 yards receiving and a touchdown. That receiving
Mm-hmm.
touchdown came right in my face, pause, in the end zone. As he was running directly towards our, yeah, I know that's poor warding, but anyway, we'll keep it in. As he ran right in front of me, I can share the clip with everybody. And I'm sitting there like I almost threw him the bird, but I didn't though. So I
Well,
had
he
a
would
little
have
bit
thrown
more
it right
security.
back. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that
he probably
much.
would have. He probably would have.
But
But
I mean, like, no, go ahead.
no. That I was just gonna say he probably would have.
No, I mean, like, it really is that. And it's the fact that not only is he going to get you up the middle, is that screen pass makes him such a versatile weapon for them, particularly with back to this Jalen Hurts situation. We're not looking at least what we have seen thus far. Like you said, we're not buying into the Philly media narrative. But
Yep.
what we've seen thus far, particularly late in the season since the injury, is that Jalen is really not that deep ball threat that he once was, that he was in his MVP season. And that screen pass has become such a great weapon for him where it's such an easy completion, but still adds versatility to what Saquon is doing and gets your best weapon involved. The other thing on that Jalen note is the thing that, like, you want to talk about something when you're gearing up for an NFC championship and you already have the adrenaline rushing every time you're thinking about the game, every hype video, every clip. But like sometimes you see those things, Corey, that hit you a little
Mm-hmm.
differently, where like you're already building the excitement, everything's getting you going, but it gets you a little bit differently. What got me a little bit differently, what got me feeling it in my loins was Joe Witt Jr. in the press conference coming
Hit him
out
like
and
a running
said,
back.
we're going to hit him that way. That's their decision. If they want him to get hit that way, that he gets hit.
Yep.
Like, that's the kind of tenacity. And that's the kind of thing, particularly if you are looking at a Jalen Hurts that is a little bit banged up, that isn't 100%, that knows that he has, a career on the line. This is one of those games, much like what we talked about with Tampa Bay, where the first time that they try to move Jalen Hurts up the field with the football, bury one into his chest, just bury somebody into his chest and let him know you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Because with that knee injury, I guarantee you, even if he is not deliberately thinking about it, it is in your mind if you were an NFL quarterback. And if they try to move him with the football, and we get somebody like Jeremy Chin in regular fashion coming from out the top left corner of the screen,
Mm-hmm.
taking flight and putting a body on him, nothing illegal, but putting a body on him, it's going to make him think twice about doing that again. And if we establish that narrative in the first quarter and limit that dimension of their offense,
Mm-hmm.
is Saquon the only weapon that really we're going to have to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think you got to watch out for the officials too, right? Because if Marshawn Lattimore's on AJ Brown, it's
Well, and that's
you
a
know,
matchup we know is going to get handsy.
right, yeah. But they did say Jalen Hurts is anticipating wearing a brace on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Take that forever, however you want it. I ain't looking at it anyway because if I hear that, I'd be licking my chops. So and getting ready to go. But you can't. I think you can't take anything at face value right now at this point in the season. I think these guys are going to go. It's like Dallas Goedert. He said he's going to go despite his ankle injury. Now,
Yeah.
how much will that limit him? And what is the guy, Kyle Katera or whatever, 81
Mm-hmm.
on them? Like, how much is he going to play in that role outside of Goddard? And how many snaps is Goddard actually going to get? That's going to be the key thing right there, too, is the last time we played, they didn't have Dallas Goddard. Last
Yeah,
time
which
we
is a
played him,
massive, massive impact because what a factor he was in that first
mm-hmm.
game.
Yeah, and then also don't forget the last time we played them, we didn't have a healthy B Rob. We didn't have a healthy Austin Eckler. B Rob did play, but he fumbled the ball twice. You got to think
Yeah.
he's gonna be motivated to go out there and and show that I can hold on to the ball in this situation. And it's going to be a raucous environment at the Clink. It always is. And those Bama's have deserved that right. They've earned that right to be obnoxious and ignorant and stupid and all this stuff. But and it's the team's job to go in there and shut those people up. That's what you got to do. So with that being said, now because we do have this is a modified version of what we do. Um, I'll do a Kevin Sheehan style, right? Washington wins if give me 3 points that Washington needs to do to win.
Washington wins if, first of all, I want to see another B Rob Many Men performance.
I heard
We
him.
coined that term, and it is you. I feel like we underappreciate what he does at times when he does it, but you can see the impact that it has on this offense and how it is able to dominate and control games in a matchup like last weekend where he had struggled several weeks before. I think that making sure that we have another option in that running game besides Jaden Daniels, because look, rookie or not, as the Eagles coaching staff has said, as many of the Eagles players have said, Jaden Daniels has established himself as a force and a presence in this league, both in the air and with his legs. And there have been very few instances where he has not been able to move the football with his legs. I mean, I would be hard pressed to find more than 4 or 5 games where he's had less than 30 yards rushing. Like he has proven that ability, but it is the privilege for this offense to have somebody else that can step in and lighten that load for him to help us control the clock, dominate the game, and of course extend drives with that fourth down ability. I will say number two, it's just got to be Saquon watch. As simple as it is, and I mean, we just spent 15 minutes talking about it, and there's a reason why. Because when you're looking at this Eagles offense, despite the number of weapons that they have and how versatile they can be, for the reasons that we just discussed, Saquon Barkley is the issue. Saquon Barkley is the problem. And if you're going to get beat, it's because Saquon Barkley had his way with you. And I think that I am willing to get the top taken off by AJ Brown at least once in an effort to stop Saquon Barkley from moving the chains. I'm willing to, as Logan Paulson said, I want to put the onus on Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Like, I want to look Jalen Hurts in the eye and say, I dare you to throw the ball over the top. I dare you to move the ball with your legs. And I am willing to take that risk of having anyone else step up to the plate as opposed to getting Saquon Barkley in the face as you were over and over again for 40 plus yards of drive. And then third and finally, it was something that we saw them struggle with. And it was something that, to their credit, and like we mentioned at the top of the show, they turned around in that game against the Lions. It is a necessity. It is like oxygen in the playoffs to find points off of possessions.
Yes.
And the Commanders cannot afford, much like what we talked about in that first Eagles matchup, where though they were dominating the game, they missed those early field goals and keep us in the game. We cannot afford to have drives not end with points on the board. You obviously want 7. We cannot fail to convert in the red zone, but even if we are not able to get that point, we need to put 3s on the board and consistently be scoring against this Eagles team, because as we mentioned, with them, it really is one of those things where it is not a matter of if, but when. And Saquon is going to get his. It's just a matter of how much you let him take. And so consistently scoring points and not sacrificing drives, and good drives at that, to not put up points, I think it's the third key to the game. And although an obvious one, it is something we have seen them struggle with throughout this season time and time again.
Yeah.
What about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So my first one is Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin, he's been an Eagles killer throughout his career. I mean, those haven't translated to wins a lot of times, but he has done some damage. I think of his first game back in 2019 against me, had 2 touchdowns, and I think it was almost like 150 yards in his debut, and then he did it again. Had a big touchdown against them, Carson Wentz and the boys down there. But I think they got to test Quinyon Mitchell, right? Because he's been great this season for a rookie, and he locked him down the first time around. You got to go into the link, and you're going to have to get Terry the ball. You're going to have to be creative in getting him the ball as well. So, is it over the middle? Is it a deep shot to him? You got to be mindful of your safeties. Blankenship and C.J. Gardner-Johnson are going to be ready. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is definitely going to be ready after he got ejected the last game around. So that's my first thing, is big Terry McLaurin. He needs to take over the game for the Burgundy and Gold and help that rookie quarterback out. And a fun fact is, I went back and looked at this. No rookie quarterback has completed more than 20 completions in a championship game. So
Wow.
yeah, and that's
And
including
if
Ben
there's a rookie
Roethlisberger.
quarterback that could do it, it's
Yeah,
Jaden.
yeah, I mean, absolutely so. And he's been, and not to talk about any of those rookie quarterbacks inferiorly, but outside of Ben Roethlisberger, I wouldn't have anybody, because you're talking about Mark Sanchez, who was carried by the Jets. Sean King was carried by the Buccaneers at that point, and so there's a couple. Joe Flacco. I don't know why I said Ben Flacco. Joe Flacco was another one who's being carried, and he really didn't develop until that fourth year when they went to the Super Bowl. So I mean, if Jaden can do it, Jaden can do it. Also, my second thing is accountable for Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Cosmi towards ACL last week.
Devastating.
It was devastating. Do you move Andrew Wiley inside? Is Trent Scott going to play there? I thought Trent Scott played very well, but maybe if you do move and you have all five of your best linemen out there, including Cornelius Lucas at the right tackle spot, and you move Wiley inside, maybe you get some beef right there, and you could probably him and Biotish double teaming on Jalen Carter, and then on the opposite side with Nick Allegretti as well too. You can double team him and phase him out or chip him like in the shotgun with your running backs. Maybe you might have you will have an opportunity to win the game, because if you can neutralize him, you've got a great chance offensively, because I think he is the best player on that team, not named Saquon Barkley, and I don't think it's
Yeah.
even close. I don't think
No,
it's
I think
close
that, I mean, not to interrupt you, but that I think
yeah.
is one of the things that we haven't touched on that is probably going to be one of the biggest matchups of this
Mm-hmm.
game. And we saw it in those first two games, but the absence of Sam Cosmi for this team
Yeah.
cannot be understated in how that is going to affect this offensive line group. Because, like we discussed all throughout the beginning of the season, this group was a sum of their parts, and it was their ability to rotate and stay fresh that made them so dominant. Now, if you're going to put your five guys out there, this is still a small group, and they are going up against monstrous
Yeah.
human beings that are going to be wearing the green and white. Some of the biggest guys in the NFL, and like you said, I would agree, the second best guy on that team, not named Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this one is an overarching one right here. Live in the moment. Live in the moment.
Wow.
Every don't think about the last play. It's about the next play, and go out there and play your game. Trust what you've learned over the last 20 weeks. Believe in yourselves. Go out there and play ball. Dominate the way you know how, and play Commanders football. We know what this Commanders team is. We know that they can play physical, they can play fast, they can play disruptive. Go out there and do that. Go out there and shock the world just another time here, and say we're meant to be here, because we've been told all playoffs that we've been standing in other people's way. Maybe this time it's time for them to realize that they've been standing in our way. So that's it. That's going to be my third thing. Is they go and play in the moment, and rely on their coaching and everything, and trusting each other. Play for Sam Cosmi on that offensive line, and make him proud. He's gonna have to go get his ACL taped up and everything like that, and go into surgery. So I think if they do that, this team will surprise a lot of people, which they've been doing all season long, and I think they are. It's just something about this team that, through their press conference and everything, there's a quiet confidence about it. I love what Joe Witt said. He said the same thing to Baker Mayfield, right? If he's going to run, we're going to treat him like a quarterback. He said that. That's no violence towards Jalen Hurts. And this people talking about Frankie Louvu is a dirty player. He's an aggressive player. Yes, he's not a dirty player.
And there was nothing about that Jalen injury that was dirty on him.
No,
Absolutely
it
nothing.
wasn't.
It was a football play.
And Jared Goff was a blocker. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about dirty. Now, he's playing tough. Yeah, you can say he's playing tough. So, let's talk about Jalen Carter when he held up Jaden Daniels at during the SEC Championship game like a trophy. So, that's not dirty either. I mean, that's just gamesmanship. That's what Philadelphia would tell you. So yeah, those are my three things right there. Terry's got to get involved, neutralize Jalen Carter, and play in the moment. Be about the business. Be right there. And I think this team will be hosting the George Howes Trophy. And how fitting would that be to continue to exercise demons on Sunday and against one of the worst fan bases in all of professional sports? Man,
Yeah.
it'd be
I mean,
great.
look, you said it, like, play for Sam Cosmi, but
Yeah,
like,
man.
hell, play for the DMV. Like, it has been since 1991 since the Washington Commanders have been in an NFC Championship game. The struggles that this organization has gone through, the turmoil, the downfall of what was once a great organization, for it to have this fresh face, this rejuvenation, the way that we have seen the entire city, the entire region rally around this team, and this new breath of fresh air and life come into a fan base that was downtrodden for almost over 3 decades,
Yep.
Corey. A fan base that now you're walking out on the street and people are proud and willing to wear the burgundy and gold going about their daily lives. That was something that was a foreign concept, almost an alien idea 3 years ago, that you would see people just on a Wednesday willing and proud to be representing this team. This team has given the city something to rally behind, and they've already done the magic. They've
Yep.
already captured the moment. They've regained the trust and the confidence of the people in the DMV. But now, to your point about like living in the moment, let's see where the magic will take you. Like, let's see what will happen when you
Mhm.
guys go out there and you let that quiet confidence drive you. You let the genuine fun that they have been having playing with one another throughout 20 weeks of football, express that on the field on Sunday. Because as fun as every game has been, there's nothing more fun than when you're playing in a championship game. And
Yep.
it might not be the big dance, but there's hardware on the line. There's something for you to put up in the trophy case on Sunday afternoon.
It's a
And I
t-shirt
don't
game.
see
Yep.
any reason why this team cannot go out there and get the job done. They've already done it once this season. They can't let the moment get to them. The moment is not too big for them. Put on for your city, put on for the DMV, go out there and have some fun playing 4 quarters of football in an NFC Championship game. We said last week, if you're not watching that game, then I don't know what you're doing. If you don't like football, like, you need to be watching this game,
Yep.
because this is one of the most incredible, breathtaking narratives that we have seen in sports in the past several years. This is for anybody that loves an underdog story, that loves a comeback kid. This is something that we haven't seen really done, as you mentioned, in any recent history in the NFL. And I think it's going to be a privilege to sit down and watch that game and to be a fan at this point in the Commanders franchise history, because this really does have all of the makings of a moment that we are going to remember for the rest of our
Yep.
lives.
Absolutely. No matter what happens, and you look at it on paper, the Eagles are the better team. You look at it; they've got the home field advantage. They got the the familiarity of being there, right? Nick Sirianni's never lost a home game in the playoffs. They haven't lost a home playoff game since the Saints beat them back in the wild card round back in 2013. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff going against them. They haven't lost in an NFC Championship game at home since the Panthers beat them back in 2003. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff against you, but it seems like they've risen to the occasion every time has Washington, and why not? Can't they do it again? And we're going to see it. With that being said, man, I'm going to ask you, give me, because I did it last time, didn't I? I did it
I've
first.
been dreading this moment. I've been dreading this moment.
You didn't talk. You didn't talk to all. Say you're gonna back down off of it now. That's okay if you do. Give me your final score prediction. It's okay if you're down.
No, I'm going 34-28. Good guys on top. I've been
Okay,
riding with them
30.
all season.
I heard you. I heard you.
34-28. Good guys on top. We're going to
I
see
heard you.
maybe not the shootout that we saw against the Lions, but these two teams are going to come to play. They're going to move the sticks. They're going to find the end zone. I just think that the Commanders, the way that this offense has been rolling, knock on wood, they're going to be able to get there first, and they're going to be able to get there often.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So it's a tough team. Saquon Barkley is him. Vic Fangio is a defensive genius. The tush push is a annoying play. The clink, as I call it, I don't call it the link, I call it the clink, is a raucous environment to say the least. Washington should not win this game, according to everybody who has a pulse, right, or who is intelligent. I said this last week, right? It just doesn't make sense for us to win this game. It doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, that's why I'm riding with us. This team gets it. Dan Quinn gets it. Adam Peters gets it. The fact of Josh Harris gets it. The way they retired Darryl Green's number, they didn't sit on their hands and how they did it. They get what he meant to the history of this franchise. And then who did they name for their honorary captain? This playoffs, Doug Williams. What they do last week? They all wore his jersey in the team meeting, right? And they surprised them with it. They get that. Also, what's on the line too is the respect of Darryl Green. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl back in 2017, do you remember who presented the trophy to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, yeah.
Darryl Green did. I was sick to my stomach. I lost my cookies. I spit
everything,
and I didn't even drink that night. They need to show them that. They need to show them that and be like, this is how the NFL thought, and this is how they saw us, was that they wanted our bitter rivals to get the trophy from one of our legends. They get it. And like Dan Quinn said, like one of the speeches, right? He's like, you're going to be fighting and everything. It's like putting somebody in a dunk tank, putting them in water, right? And you're going to be the last one breathing the bubbles when it comes out. I know I paraphrased that. So with that being said, I got to go burgundy and gold. I know the last couple of times against the Eagles, I picked the Eagles. I know last time I did. So I'm confident in this team. We're going to be talking about a victory Monday on the Monday after pill. And, I'm going to be ordering my championship hat, shirt, and hoodie and all that stuff. I'm going to waste a whole bunch of money for the burgundy and gold as we speak it into existence because, they got it. And I'm going 31. I'm going 35-31. Burgundy and gold wins it. Terry McLaurin going to take us over the top and win this game. We're going to win this game. We're going to stand on business. Those guys know what it's about. I got to go read Jeremy Reed's letter in the Players Bureau or whatever it is because apparently that is a dynamic letter. I'm excited, man, and I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, yeah, y'all got to see some of these videos that they put out, man. So let's go out there. Let's go out there. Not even shock the world. Let's just bust down the doors and say we here and we coming, guys.
No, that's all that there is to say. That really is. It's the NFC Championship. Yep. It is the biggest game that the Commanders have been in over 30 years. This is the best team the Commanders have had in probably those same 30 years. They've got the weapons, they've got the heart, and they've been riding the magic. Let's see if we've got one more game in us.
Oh, we got one more game in us. When we win this game, we got one more game.
Hey, Corey, we've been saying it all season. We eat what's in front of us, and right now we're having bird for dinner.
That's right.
We're having bird for dinner. That's for sure.
Right. Pluck the pigeons, man. I won't throw the baby up and down this time. So so y'all had to call CPS on me. But
no, but you're gonna have to find something else to shave if we win this game.
Well, we'll figure that out. I have my people call my other people, and we'll figure it out. We'll probably figure it out on Sunday at the end of the game. So, but we'll appreciate you, man. Thank you for making this happen because I know your schedule was tight, but I appreciate you, brother, as always. And we'll be talking to you next week because we're going to keep that same damn energy. We're going to outlast them bastards once again, and we're going to take what's ours finally as the Washington Commanders. Get ready. Let's go to Bayou Country, man. Give me some boudin and everything like that. Love, peace, and hell. We'll talk to you next time. Somebody play the damn theme music because we out of here, y'all.